Hi everyone, it's Frugal here. As always, I have my coffee because otherwise somebody might just get killed. So let's talk today about employees versus freelance and maybe a little bit of a contracting therein just to make it interesting. So the difference between a contractor and a employee is a boss can ask an employee to make them coffee. This is according to Andre Botma, a good friend of mine in Cape Town. So, there's this whole debate where people are saying, I'm very happy with my stable job. And we need to realize that it's not as stable as you would think. In the simple case that you would, if something would happen, so for example, if you would get retrenched, if the company would shut down, it is not necessarily as stable. As mentioned previously, in generally how it works in when you are employed is you become a specialist in one field. I normally use the example of somebody animating feet. So, for example, like at a place like Pixar, they specialize in animating feet and they become really good at it. The problem is that as soon as they get retrenched, they basically have one option, and that's DreamWorks. They have no other company to go to. They've got nothing else that they can do. And this is a big problem when it comes to an employee. You need, as an employee, a personal development plan that is not only going to make you grow in your speciality, but also in something else in case you need a backup. Yes, there's a lot of software development jobs, but on the other hand as well, there's a certain bracket that you reach with your salary where people can hire four, maybe five developers, junior developers, rather than hiring you. This is a huge risk for you and for the company, because if that one person leaves, it is a lot of knowledge that goes. As a freelancer, on the other hand, you have multiple clients, which spreads the risk a little bit. So what that means is that because you don't have income from a single source, it means it's well diversified. It's very similar with contractors or some contractors where they might have multiple clients. So they have a contract for one client for 3 days a week, and the other days they can do whatever they please. Generally, there's two models with that. The one is they get quoted per project. The other one is they get quoted per hour. But that really depends. So, for example, it could actually be that you sell products. So you sell pencils or magwinya, that's bathed in a bath of olive oil. I've heard that it's very trendy. But the thing here is that you need to remember is that as a contractor, you do not have that stable income which you think you might have with other, like full-time employment or a full-time contractor. Because in some cases, you do get contractors that, companies that says, I want you to hire you as a contractor, but you work only for me, nobody else, and then we can fire you whenever we like. That's sort of like full-time employment, but it's not. So there's different models and different ways of thinking about it. If you're going to ask me which one is best, I'm going to tell you need more coffee, because there's not a fixed answer on this. For some people, they're like, listen, we really don't want to be full-time employed. We don't want a boss. We don't want to make coffee for them. In other cases, people say, well, I love the security that it offers. And that's okay. It's absolutely okay. There's not an easy answer for any of these. But if you want more control over your life, then employee is definitely not for you. If you are very happy to just be given work and do the work that needs to happen, that's absolutely fine as well. All I'm saying is that be careful out there. You need to think about your future. Don't get locked into a job with a salary and just keep on spending and working, and not dreaming, growing, educating yourself or anything like that. Just a quick note as well on the tax differences. So with regards to tax, you get, as an employee, you get pay as you earn, which is basically deducted from your salary. So the money that you get is the money that you have. Whereas as a contractor, you need to add a premium on there because you still need to pay the tax man. So that would be, for example, if you earn X amount of money, then you still need to give up how much you've earned, and then just deduct the amount of tax, or give tax basically to the tax man. Blah, 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 blah. If you want to get tax advice, speak to Andre Botma Tax, because he's brilliant. Remember that as a contractor or as a freelancer, you can deduct things from tax. That means you can, for example, if you need to drive to a client, you deduct your trip to the client from tax. If you're taking your client out for dinner, or you're doing sitting with a client in a restaurant, you deduct that from tax because you are actually having a networking meeting. You are spending that money because for business, to get in business. Don't forget to deduct things like your server costs, your website hosting, all of these things that are basically out there to make you money. Think about that. Speak to your tax consultant about the details about what you can and can't deduct. For example, you can't just buy a car and deduct everything from tax with a car, even your personal stuff, because personal and business, it is split. It's two different things. So with an employee, you can't, like I said, in some cases, there are certain clauses in the tax law and certain tax codes and other big words which says you can deduct certain things. So for example, somebody is full-time employed but needs to drive to clients, they can actually change that, include certain car things to a certain extent. But I highly suggest that you do speak, when it comes to that level, start speaking to the tax people. You do get the dual model as well, that you're full-time employed, but you also have freelance work on the side. When you do things like that, it's similar to having property on the side or any other investments. You need to declare everything. You need to declare all your income that you get, all your business expenses, obviously all your IRP5s, i.e. your employee tax certificates, all of those goodies you need to declare. It's so important that you declare everything. Great, so now that you know a little bit more about freelance, contracting, employee, last thing, I forgot. As a contractor, you don't get leave. As an employee, you do. The nice thing is, as a contractor, you tend to earn more, which means that because for the risk, you can take holiday whenever you want or whenever your clients allow or whenever your contract allows for it. But I'm just mentioning that. Now you know everything you need to know. Everything in this whole wide world, except that you don't know how much coffee I drink every day. Have a wonderful day and happy investing.